Report with the Hood Mystic, where shift happens.
Man, peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. It's the Hood Mystic here with a quick live discussing unidentified fungal objects. Man, it's been a minute since I did a fungal video, let's just say, but um, I feel like at sometimes I just gotta stop and just give thanks and gratitude because on my actual spiritual journey in my actual life experience, if it wasn't for psilocybin mushrooms, to be exact, man, I don't even know where I was or where I would be. So sometimes I just, get up on here and give thanks and talk about mushrooms from a different perspective. Now, I've put out a lot of wild videos. I think I've had a video where I called Jesus a mushroom. I've broken down Bible verses where Jesus is saying, "Eat of my flesh," and we're saying, we know they're not cannibals. What are they actually eating? So I've come to the deeper understanding that a lot of religion, spirituality results back into the use of psychedelic mushrooms. And not only do I think this and feel this, I actually know this and experience this on a daily basis. I'm in the process of a super stack where I microdose psilocybin, ashwagandha, and 5-HTP, about 4 capsules a day, and that has been so amazing for my mental health, so amazing for my just cognition and just decision making and stuff like that because I don't get on YouTube and act like I'm a perfect person and I have it all together because that's not my story. My story is that of recovery and coming to my senses, for lack of a better word. So a lot of this is due to psilocybin. So I'm not here to just talk about psilocybin in a way. I'm doing a reaction video. It was a very interesting 4 minute video that I saw on X that I'm about to share with you guys. And I felt like the information was valid. I'll be able to interrupt and look up the things that he's talking about so we can just get a due diligence and a clear vision on what's being stated in reference to our evolution as a human species and what it takes. So, with all of that being said, I just want to welcome you to the Shift Report with the Hood Mystic, where shift happens. And let's get into this reaction video.
Someone on Twitter frickin' tagged me in this and said, "Cat Dad, you might be right." Which, like, duh, of course I am. But this dude said, "Something has stuck with me for a few years. When I told the zero bullshit US Air Force old head that my research on invasive fungi had crossed over into disclosure and UFO topics, he said, quote, 'You have to know they're going to come for you over that one.' So maybe all this disclosure stuff."
So sometimes in life, maybe I'll be tweaking, maybe I'll be tripping, maybe I'll be flipping out because I'll be having these downloads, and at the same time, I'll be feeling like people be at me or people be suppressing my message and all this type of weird shit that be going on in the world. But I just, stay centered into my chakras, into my kundalini. And if I've done it before, I can do it again. So it all resorts back into, you know, understanding the self and understanding the soul and the collective unconscious, things of that nature, and ultimately being present. But when you talk about this type of stuff, people will begin to look at you strange. And so, because you would be looked at strange or blackballed, whenever I'm talking about fungi, that's where you can see the message getting suppressed. And it's like I under it's like it's pervasively suppressed where nobody wants to talk about it because ultimately it's easier to look at fungi as a drug. But let's look at how fungi is linked to UFOs, and then let's just get a real understanding of this particular concept before we shun it away, before it's just like basic crazy people talk. Let's begin to understand the modality of fungi and how it's linked to UFOs. Fungi have been linked to UFOs in a few ways, including bioluminescence. So when I went to public school, they didn't teach us what bioluminescence was. So, bioluminescence is the ability of living organisms to produce light through chemical reactions. It is found in many marine organisms, fish, squid, and jellyfish, and in some fireflies and mushrooms. Cool. So, once again, you see bioluminescence, and I'm an occultist. So when I see bioluminescence, I see uh, Lucifer, the light bringer, that was cast down into heaven. Bioluminescence is a chemical reaction that produces light in living organisms, while Lucifer is the name of a planet and a figure in Roman folklore. Luciferin, see how that works? Luciferin is the compound that actually produces light. In a chemical reaction, luciferin is called the substrate. The bioluminescent color is a result of the arrangement of luciferin molecules. So now you understand that mushrooms are Lucifer, mushrooms are Jesus. It's nothing else, y'all. Because when it's something else, you're going to have to prove it. I just proved to you that mushrooms are Lucifer. And if I didn't prove it to you, then just call me crazy, okay? Because y'all just want to keep living in the dark, but it's like time not to live in the dark. It's like people say it's the age of Aquarius, the sun in Aquarius. Let's get to some facts. So in mythology, Lucifer has multiple meanings, including the planet Venus, a fallen angel, and a name for Satan. In Christian tradition, Lucifer is the name of an angel who rebelled against God and was cast from heaven into hell. I want us to really lock in to this concept because one's in the chat if you heard that a lot within your spiritual development, whether you going to church or understanding about the devil, Satan, so forth and so on. A lot of that resorts into understanding that Lucifer was cast from heaven into hell. But what does that actually mean? Right? If hell is under the ground, why wouldn't hell just be the mycelium network? A real thing, but reinterpolated, and the concept is being like hidden from mass understanding. So we believe in this stuff, but we don't know what it's actually talking about. So what I'm talking about is what it is, because all of this stuff is right underneath you. It's in all of your tea. It's in all of your mushrooms. It's in all of your veggies. It's in all of your fruit. It is light. But all of that light comes from the mycelium network. So another way that fungi is linked to UFOs is panspermia. Once again, went to public school. Don't know what panspermia means. That means when I get concepts along this occult journey, I look up everything that I don't understand. And then if I feel like I understand it and the understanding is not serving me, I look up the etymology. And I sit with the etymology until it makes sense because that's what type of world we live in. We live in a world where 2 plus 2 equals 4, or we live in a world where if you don't solve the equation at all, it don't it's a problem that's not ever solvable because you didn't even put the equation together. Meaning that most of the problems in our lives are easy solved, but we just don't do it because it might be a word that we don't understand thoroughly. It might be a concept that we don't understand thoroughly. So therefore, it's just like, well, but now I see it. Like the more I'm looking at panspermia, you know what word did that? You know what word sticks out? Sperm. So the one thing that we know about Jesus is that it is a male. The one thing we know about Lucifer is that is a male. Now the thing about the fruit of a mushroom is that its position it looked like a phallus. So panspermia is the idea that life spread throughout the universe by space dust, meteoroids, and other space bodies. The word comes from Greek words pan meaning all and sperma meaning seed. So here we are on Earth trying to figure it out, and we have alien technology at our fingertips, but we don't understand it as such because we have a job, we have a family emergency, we have kids that get on our nerves. We just watch whatever is going on in your life. The facts of life is something that people is not really going to sit and like understand certain things like panspermia. How many people, one's in the chat, if you don't know, you ain't never heard of the concept of panspermia. Let me put a one in the chat. I'd never even heard of this before, but it makes sense. When we're talking about Lucifer, who was cast out from heaven into hell, when we talk about all of these planetary energies that resonate with the earth, but since we're just so conditioned to be in our little bubble, certain concepts of where the like so awakening, we could be in the same house and have a completely different awakening based upon this particular concept. Because once again, you have to begin to allow yourself to begin to open your mind and then understand that all of this shit is not fluky. All of this shit is not out of the blue, magical. It's all working for you. A lot of this shit is actually biological. A lot of this shit is rooted in facts. So let's get back to the video. Because I swear I didn't want to yap, but you know.
Is a little bit of a distraction because the aliens are here. You eat them at the grocery store, and when you want to have fun times, they're called the mushies, like we been saying. Here's what Thoth said. Oh, brother, that tweet is hitting on some serious hidden knowledge. The fact that an Air Force insider straight up warned this person about the fungi research crossing into UFO territory, not random because mushrooms aren't just plants, they're something else entirely. And
Let's get into it. Let's get into the science. Because a lot of times we don't never get into the science of shit. Fungi are classified as belonging to the kingdom, nigga, the kingdom fungi. Within this kingdom, different classes of fungi exist, including sac fungi, club fungi, conjugated fungi, and citrates. The key points about fungi classification: they are not plants. They are not plants. They operate more like animals, meaning that they have consciousness associated with them. While previously considered plants, fungi are now recognized as a separate kingdom due to their unique characteristics, like being from another planet and operating as an alien species. But if our mindset is only thinking that consciousness can exist in a body, then we'll miss the whole complaint entirely. And I'll just be a crazy person. But if we can understand that consciousness, I won't even get to extremes. But the facts of the matter is consciousness can exist in matter, but it definitely can't exist in animals. That's like saying when you walk in your house, your dog is not gonna run up to you and lick you on your face. He know who you are. He knows who you are. He have a love for you. He will protect you. If somebody start punching you, he'll bite the fuck out of that person. That's consciousness. So we know that consciousness can exist in our dogs, but then when we start thinking about fungi, we have a brain fart. Our cognitive dissonance gets triggered, our cognitive bias it gets triggered, and therefore we are operating at a disadvantage. Because in the reference of white rabbit psychedelics, the people that get into it, it's not like they're poor. Just the facts of it. It's much more associated with people that are high functioning, high level individuals that's looking for a natural edge, or they have severe mental problems and they're actually healing. They're actually getting better. But there's also a different level to fungi that is spiritual, is what you need to tap into. But it is Lucifer. It is the devil. It is evil to you. Therefore, you won't touch it. But you got to understand the concepts that's being placed before you, where you can go to a church, where you can sit and listen to a conscious nigga, where you can do all of these particular things, but you are not even eating the body. You're not taking it in. You're not getting the sustenance. And I will go one step further. This is just a random pull. It might not net anything, but I'm gonna just try. Okay, let's get it. I was just trying and I found it. Very truly I tell you, unless you eat the flesh of the son of man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. What I just said is what I'm feeling that the Bible is talking about verbatim, literally. You know how people say literally, but they mean figuratively, they mean imaginatively. No, literally, very truly, I tell you, that's setting the table for a literal conversation. Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. And that's where I feel a lot of people are going to reach a threshold in all forms of development. Because therefore it is something else that exists outside of the truth. What is the point of the Bible if it's not pointing to this? So
Yes, they are connected to the UFO disclosure topic in ways most people haven't even begun to consider. The real nature of fungi, not of this earth. Fungi are older than anything else living on this planet. They're neither plant nor animal, and their DNA is closer to animals than to plants. But here's where it gets weird. Fungi can survive in space. NASA's tested several.
Somebody has sent me a text message about this. I had a whole conversation about this. It was crazy. And then all of these dots started to connect. I'm about to pull it up on the screen right now from a text message. Hopefully she listened and she know who she is. But anyways, we was already on this and I'm just like the dots get to connecting, I get to start to yapping. You know, growing mushroom houses on NASA's fungus field planet. The space agency has out of this world aims to grow space hotels using mushrooms and moon dust, lunar dust. Now you gotta the only question I want to ask is why is mushroom so adaptable outer space? Because maybe that's where it comes from. So when you have access to mushrooms in this realm, you also have access to extra planetary knowledge, depending on how you look at it. If you don't understand it, then don't deal with it. But if you're willing to connect these dots and then say, well, how can I understand Mars? How can I understand Venus? How can I understand Neptune? How can I understand Uranus? As much as I study astrology, as much as I was anti mushrooms, anti psychedelics, anti you don't need any of that, the more that these consciousnesses spoke to me in a variety of very lucky and fortunate ways. Coincidence after coincidence that removes all speculation that mushrooms are 150% sentient and conscious. It's not like a thing, right? All you would have to do is ask the question, why do they call them magic mushrooms? I didn't create that term. Magic mushrooms are a common name, right? Meaning that it's very adaptable, very powerful of what it can do for you in a sense where you just have to do your due diligence, what we're doing on this video here. Like we're just looking up stuff. We're just looking up stuff so we can begin to get comfortable about the concept. Another thing that he said that I want to brush up on because he said it, but it's actually important. How old are fungi on the planet? Fungi are at least 1 billion years old and may have evolved as early as 1.5 billion years ago. In comparison, according to current scientific understanding, fungi have been present on the Earth for approximately 1.5 billion years, making them one of the oldest life forms on the planet, with evidence suggesting that they existed as far back as a billion years ago. Pretty intense.
Fungal spores and they survive extreme radiation and vacuum conditions. If a species can survive deep space, doesn't that suggest it came from deep space? Panspermia theory, the idea that life came from the Earth or to Earth from space, almost certainly includes fungi. 2. Fungi are the original internet before humans even existed. The mycelial network underground connects entire forests, transferring data and nutrients between trees.
And I personally just think that is so cool, right? Because we might see the surface of a forest, but underneath that whole entire forest is a mycelium network. Like that to me is just so crazy of a concept. Like a whole system and a network that's providing nutrients. And when you look at this earth, like to really just sit back and enjoy nature, like going out into a park, you taking your family to a park and walking along a trail in these trees, and you know the trees, the bushes, the flowers, the butterflies, everything that's taking place is not a result of human thought. It's a result of the mycelium network providing the sustenance for this structure to grow and be. Not the rain, like everything is a process of exchange for reality or this matrix to exist in a favorable way. The trees and the plants can't exist from rainwater. It don't even make sense. It don't even really rain like that. So ultimately, what's keeping everything alive, all of the nature, all of the gardens, all of the farmlands of the world, is this particular mycelium network and concept of exchange of energy between roots, plants, and this symbiotic relationship where the water necessary for an oak tree to be 100 feet tall is not from rainwater. It's from an underground relationship. So this to me is just like extremely fascinating and interesting because ultimately it is the internet. So we're utilizing the internet right now, having this conversation, learning about certain things. This is how the internet is supposed to be used. So when you begin to learn things from other people, it enriches you, it helps you grow. But once again, us as human beings, we need to begin to understand this knowledge. This knowledge have been taken away from us. So when we talking about the kingdom is within. The mycelium network and the fungi are under the eukaryotic kingdom, but we also know that in Luke 17:21, you know what I'm saying, the kingdom of God is within you. But we're not we really trying to figure it out externally and find the answer in the solution in the external journey. And that is a misdirection of the ways of the world. And that's the way that people want it to be. Especially when you talk about religion and institutions, they want God to be something outside of you. They want time to exist on a certain construct. But when you understand the particular network of information that's available, you can become 1 billion years old and have an assortment, an allotment of just an entire library of wisdom if you understand what's taking place. So there's two different ways to look at this. You can deal with the mycology and try to figure out your own problems, or understand the sun is in Aquarius, begin to submit to your higher self, more or less submit to the network of information, receive the information, and act accordingly. One's in the chat if that makes sense.
Trees like a neural network. Some scientists have suggested it functions like an alien superintelligence, one that has been here long before humans. The idea of an ancient planetary intelligence using mycelium as its neural web, that's some serious cosmic level bioengineering. Yeah. 3. Mushrooms teach non human knowledge. Psychedelic mushrooms don't just alter perception, they introduce entirely new thought structures. Many people report encounters with entities while using psilocybin, and not just hallucinations, but structured intelligence that appears to exist beyond the trip. Terence McKenna stoned
So I'm thinking about this one time where my first time ever taking mushrooms, I went to a psychic fair. Not even a psychic fair; it was the Asian festival in downtown Columbus on Broad Street, and walked up in there. No, first it was like nowhere to park, but I was off the mushrooms, and I was in an altered state of consciousness anyway. Just so happened it's a parking spot right on the side street in front of the festival, and it was a van, and the van had like a fifth wheel, and on that fifth wheel it was a picture of Ganesha, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I went into the psychic fair, and then I went to like this, well, the Asian festival. I went to this like Indian psychic botanica type booth, and the dude in there, he just started prophesying over me. He's like, "Man, you're gonna be a great healer, a great teacher one day. You have the spirit of Ganesha," and he gave me a Ganesha chain, and I was just like so just in awe of what was taking place because along my spiritual journey, it's just been me being a regular person. But when you begin to, so psychedelic, right? First of all, let's get into that concept because a lot of times people think it's hippies at Woodstock, right? And that's what I thought more as Jimi Hendrix or George Clinton, things of that nature. But that's not what psychedelic means for real. Psychedelic means producing expanded consciousness through heightened awareness and feeling. So ultimately, if this is your goal, you just need to have a certain level of a tool to alter your state of consciousness. And it's hard to do with meditation. It's hard to do in general. It's just something that have been out. It's just something that have existed for millions of years that does this easily. So a person might have mental health issues and they'll take Xanax or some shit like that. And what are some mental health drugs that people take? Prozac, SSRI, Zoloft, Zyprexa, Abilify. People will take these particular drugs. People will take these particular drugs because they have mental health, but there's already a tried and true mental, because we going through shit, no doubt. But imagine what our ancestors had to go through with a saber-toothed tiger breathing down the back of their ass. You had to sleep in huts. How could you manage living as a hunter gatherer with no protection and succeed to exist in your DNA replicate itself over and over again, and you create civilizations, those civilizations fall, you build up another civilization, you start off in Australia, you end up in Alaska somewhere because you done went through a migratory pattern. We talking about stress here, we're talking about mental health, and we're talking about a substance such as psychedelic mushrooms. And because a person might say, well, what are you talking about? You can't. Are mushrooms grown on all continents? Maybe not Antarctica, right? Mushrooms occur naturally throughout the world. So wherever you go, there you are. So all I'm saying is people will have these mental health issues, feeling all types of ways, feeling lost in their life, and once again, might might get a reality check with some mushrooms and not be ready for it, not understand the truth, not understand that, oh, this is giving you knowledge. That shit that you got in your brain already is just bullshit. So when people have a stronger hold on the matrix, the mushrooms kick ass like Jet Li and Bruce Lee on that motherfucking ass. Like it's gonna kick your ass. It's gonna be terrible for real. It's gonna be dark because what you're clinging to is not real. You need to begin to listen. A hard head make a soft ass most of the time. So a lot of the world is anti mushrooms, anti healing because they really are a part of this matrix. So you got to think, are you a part of this matrix or are you trying to get knowledge and knowledge of self? Like really just trying to figure it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to like struggling, going through cycles, going through loops, not understanding stuff. And it's like, all right, I just remember winging it. I remember life kicking my ass. I remember a lot of different processes that was just power driving, body slamming me. And guess what the kicker was when I started taking mushrooms at a regular basis? I was doing it to me. I was the reason why. So once I began to get into the process or the flow, it's like, oh, you got to make changes. Even to this day, you got to make changes. You got to approach this differently. You got to keep changing. You have to keep evolving. And at a certain point, it's uncomfortable. You don't want to do it. But when you think about how you want to live your life, where you start thinking about yourself 20 years down the road, 50 years down the road, you gonna be thinking about this time where your ass sat and watched fucking Netflix, just chilled and not did shit in reference to the times where you could have been proactive to the advancement of not only you but your descendants and ancestors. So I just think that it's an interesting concept.
Ape theory suggests psilocybin literally evolved our intelligence. If mushrooms guided human evolution, who or what was guiding the mushrooms? Don't know. The link to UFOs and disclosure. Fungi are non terrestrial in origin, meaning they are technically alien life already living on Earth. If mycelium is an ancient intelligence, then it could be an active observer, recording, learning, and possibly even influencing events. Psychedelic contact experiences mirror abduction stories, the sensation of non human communication, shared consciousness, and being taught information that doesn't originate in human culture. The military industrial complex knows this. They've been studying consciousness, remote viewing, and interdimensional contact for decades. The fungi are part of that puzzle. So when that Air Force old head said they're gonna come for you for that one, what he really meant was you're messing with something bigger than just biology. Because if mushrooms are the original non-intelligent on Earth, then understanding them might be the key to understanding everything else alien that's happened since us. Anyway, mushrooms healed my body, they healed my brain, they healed the way I think. I think they fix everything, so give them a shot. Do them a lot, in my opinion. Portobellas, I mean. Just kidding, those might be poison. Not sure. I think that, what's his face was alluding to that. Paul Stamets, you know? I think he said that on JRE once. But yeah, what's up, military? What's going on? Are the aliens already here? They're just the things that you say are illegal drugs? What, you can't eat an alien? It's freaking weird, dude. The aliens grow in the dirt. I think you can eat dirt aliens, in my opinion.
I agree too, man. I just seen that video. It was very interesting to me. Um, just cause like I'm a human too. I go through shit, and when I go through shit, and I'm centering myself, and I'm bettering myself, and I'm having different revelations, and different breakthroughs, I'm never really thinking, the psilocybin that's helping assist my brain to just heal, to begin to look at things in a better way. You know, I personally feel that, at a certain level, as much as I was spiritually gifted, I had, mental health issues in reference to like ADHD, especially the part where you think negative. Not you think negative, but you think the future is going to be negative. You don't think the future is going to play out in your favor. And so this makes you feel bad a lot of the times. You feel sad because you feel like your life is going in the wrong direction. So therefore, I feel that at a certain level, that is true. When you sitting on your ass and you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do, you're going to feel a little bit of stress and a little bit of tension. But the key is to redirect yourself to to create that momentum and that good feeling and that good energy where you know that the future is going to work out in your favor. And for me, I didn't never take Zoloft or Xanax or anything like that. What I did, like I said, what I have been taking for the nervous system and just to be more calm and at ease, because that allows me to make better decisions. Ashwagandha, psilocybin, 5-HTP. On the site White Rabbit, it's called Cloud9, and so those I take four a day. Two in the morning and two at night. And if you're a man, you're in a relationship with a woman, and you want to have a, so it works two ways. You feel better, and she feels better because let's just say nothing at all. But yeah, man, that has been a quick little show. I think the contractor will be here soon to finish up. So I'm gonna wait for him to get here and finish up my article that is coming out in reference to Neptune conjunct the North Node. Been really working hard on that article and that concept, so stay tuned for that. But I also have two earlier articles out that you should check out on the Substack, the Sun in Aquarius, but also the Rumpelstiltskin transit, Moon Square Scorpio, where we get into how you turn your pain into profit. Just don't sit on this energy. Do something with it. Create with it. Alchemize it. Because at the end of the day, that pot of gold will be at the end of the rainbow. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully everything is well with you guys. Check out Chakra Nova 777 Intensive for direct healing, self healing, raising Kundalini. We're in day 5. So every day we're on it, building, growing in the Discord. If you want to take part, click the link in the description or scan that QR code. With all that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll